Hi guys. Well, we're into another week of having to stay at home because of the coronavirus. I really do miss all of you. I'm hoping that you're all having some fun at home, but you're learning at the same time and maybe being really creative in things you're doing. I'm hoping you're helping your moms and dads, maybe doing the laundry and walking the dog and those sorts of things. But in the meantime, we are in Holy Week now. That's the week right before Easter. And I've been sharing stories from a book called The Easter Story. And this book, by the way, is in public domain. And I'm going to continue with those stories with you today. If you notice today, I'm sitting in front of the cross. And I'll have another story about the cross. But I don't know if you noticed or not, but I have on the cross a crown of thorns. And my story today will be about a crown of thorns. And if you look at this really closely, you're going to see there's like 1, 2, 3 inch, I don't know what even the thorns are poking off this crown. So I think that this was probably very painful when it was on Jesus's head. And I know that the Roman guards pushed it onto his head and probably made his head bleed even more. But for now, because it's so pokey and it's so dangerous, I'm going to simply put it right back where it was, right there, because I don't want to get poked by one of those thorns either. But the story today is called The Crown of Thorns. It is taken today from John's Gospel. It is chapter 19. It is verses 1 through 17. And we can see a picture of Jesus standing here. There's 2 guards off to the side, and he's standing there with his hands tied behind his back, and he's wearing that crown of thorns. And the story goes like this. Meanwhile, there'd been an unsatisfactory, at the least, trial at Caiaphas' house. Unable to find any real evidence against Jesus, the high priest had accused him of blasphemy and had become so angry that he actually ripped his own clothes in fury. So the elders decided to hand Jesus over to Pilate, the Roman governor. Perhaps he would know how to deal with him. It was the last thing Pilate wanted to do. The chief priests and leaders were out to get Jesus. No amount of reason would calm them down. It was also the Passover festival. Pilate knew he could have a riot on his hands, and he sure didn't want that. Jesus stood before Pilate, and Pilate questioned him. Jesus remained silent. Pilate was amazed. He went to the crowd. "It is your custom to free a prisoner at Passover. Do you want me to release Jesus, the King of the Jews?" The chief priests and the elders acted swiftly. They whipped up the crowd into a frenzy. "Crucify him! Crucify him!" they cried. The chief priests were delighted. Frightened of the crowd's reaction, Pilate gave in and handed Jesus over to be crucified. The soldiers jumped into action. They dressed Jesus in a purple robe, just like a king. And to complete the job, they twisted together a crown of thorns, and they set it on Jesus' head. Crowned just like this one. Then they accused him, and they jeered at him. "Your Majesty," they sneered, "King of Jesus, King of the Jews." And then they knelt before him in a mock respect. They spit in his face. They laughed at him, and they snickered. When they had had enough, they made him carry a wooden crossbeam on his back that led him up to a hill called Golgotha. And there, Jesus was to die. Well, I'll continue on with the rest of my story about the cross in my next session with you. But Jesus has died, of course, for the forgiveness of our sins. And the truth of the matter is, that's an amazing, amazing gift. He gave himself just for you and for me. And because of that gift, we know that Jesus is with us always, even today. We know that someday we will all be united again in this place called heaven with grandparents and great-grandparents and people we loved who've gone before. That, my friends, is quite an amazing gift. So thank you for sharing this story with me today. When we come back together again, we'll continue our story on our Lenten journey. Bye for now.